to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. Really want to thank everyone that supports us on our spiritual Patreon family. Great community. Definitely consider joining. They're almost like 10 shows ahead of what we're discussing, of the shows that you see on this platform. Thanks to everyone that has also subscribed here, beloveds, and who has clicked on the notification bell. Absolutely appreciate, love you, and for all the comments and likes and shares, beloveds. I appreciate the energy so much. Appreciate love. Now, here in Africa, the latest news is that the Swaziland president has fled the country. Well, not the president. He was actually the king, the last standing king of a African nation. He has actually officially fled the nation as there's democracy riots going on across the country. And my big question is, who is behind the riots? Now, they say that it's the EFF. So the EFF, from South Africa with Malema, they have a branch in Swaziland that has been pushing for the liberation of Swaziland, and for Swaziland to become a democracy. They did change their name from Swaziland to Eswatini or something like Swanini or something like that. Sorry if I mispronounced it. I'm not covering the news, by the way. I'm just sharing this because it's so important spiritually. And so it was the EFF in Swaziland that actually has started these demonstrations. They now turned violent, and he ended up fleeing the country. And we have to ask, who is behind them? I ask you again, who is behind them? Because this feels very much like Babylon, especially when I see the kind of news stream and the kind of narrative that it's taking on. Or, Eswatini finally gets liberation from dictator president, and they show him buying, 36 Bentleys for his 36 wives, etc., partying in Dubai, etc., and, and they say, and he had actually banned, so they had done a petition to introduce democracy, to introduce political parties, and he banned it, I think, about a couple of days or a week ago, and that's what created this whole situation. And political parties, etc., have actually been banned in the country since 1973. It is the last surviving kingdom, beloveds, literally, that had a nation that had landmass. So what is so spiritually significant about it? I think first and foremost, what we're witnessing now is a fall of any kingdom or queendom on the motherland that had compromised to Babylon, because he was definitely working with the Babylonians. He had compromised himself. And whether we say, corruption, we don't want to take, definitely not taking the Western narrative, but for us, he was not true to his kingly powers and character. And that is what has caused him his kingdom, because nothing that is any way connected to Babylon will stand in Africa. Secondly, I definitely see a foreign hand. Beloveds, it's not a joke that they really do want to create a new world order. So literally kingdoms and are being destroyed. We saw what happened, the kind of craziness that happened with the Zulu nation. I'm not sure where that story has reached, but we definitely need to take that seriously. That is definitely a possibility. It's great for the people, but what does democracy bring? Will democracy really be better? And who is behind the democracy? The Babylonian system of democracy has never worked for us. What would have happened in ancient times if a king or queen was behaving, wrongly and had sold out the nation? What would happen? And, we've seen different nations, like in South Africa, they're saying, South Africa is standing with Swaziland, and they're saying, don't come here, you ain't welcome. So it will be interesting to see where he goes. I'm not really covering the news anymore, but what I do want to say, beloveds, is that this is so significant. This is another confirmation that it is the end of an era, for real. And there's nothing to worry about, because Mama Africa has gone back to Mama. Literally, the motherland is safely in the hands of the mother, beloveds, and she is taking no prisoners. So all those leaders in high positions who are siding with Babylon, it may seem like a rock in a hard place, like Babylon may be arm twisting you because they have naked pictures, pictures of you naked with your mistress, or all kinds of whatever they've caught you with that they're holding over your head. That's what's happening with a lot of our African presidents. Unfortunately, some are also, in my opinion, chipped, so regardless of what is going on there, beloveds, the mother is back. The ancient ones are back. The ancestors are back. And no kingdom shall stand. So it's like, there were two opposing forces that were not so much for him, because no kingdom or queendom shall stand, or presidency, whatever leadership position, none shall stand that are sided with Babylon. I think right now it's like what's happening, and the reason that the ancient ones are allowing this to happen and the ancestors are allowing this to happen is so that we can clear out a lot of those among us who just wouldn't make it mentally. Like, they are taking themselves out. No matter how you try to convince them, no matter how you try to talk to them. And so there is a great clearing and cleansing, beloveds, not just in nature, but among us as humans. And so, this is the last of the real royal kingdoms. It's significant. Even if Babylon tries to take it over, you see, because they don't want any real sitting king or queen. They want them all compromised, because they are the rightful rulers, and they have a voice to speak into the land. And this New World Order agenda is going on. It's being fast tracked, actually. But the ancient ones are here, beloveds. The ancestors are here. The rescue team is here. The Great Mother has returned, beloveds. So stand sure and stand firm. And don't feed any narrative that you don't really fully understand and understand. Because before I stopped doing the news, I did actually do a show on Malema and how it looked like he was compromised because he was pushing the experiment and many other things, And so people were saying that now he's been given money. So we shouldn't celebrate that EFF Swaziland is causing this chaos, because they're burning the food down. Why would revolutionaries burn their food down? Think critically, beloveds, and don't get involved in the global scene, because the matrix is falling, or the patrix. A new world is being born, and is being born in each and every one of our hearts, and we just want to make sure that we're the purest, clearest, cleanest, most elevated versions of ourselves as we embrace this new. So don't give your heart, because as you elevate, you become so much more powerful, which means you have to be so much more responsible with what stories, what narratives you give your energy to. We're praying for the people of Swaziland. May it work out in your best interest. And may the true revolutionaries take over the movement before it's taken over by Babylon. Tuko pamoja.